Alright, so I've got a legitimate question that may or may not be the biggest puzzle that a puzzle game has ever seen. If you have access to an infinite number of coins, how in the hell do you end up a slave? Sure, it may take a while, but if you toss enough of them, surely you could just buy the company out. Maybe your coin tossing is the reason why sales are so low. In today's humble opinion, we're getting even in Oddworld New and Tasty. Oddworld Abe's Oddysee New and Tasty is a puzzle platformer with a strange name that I just can't decide how to read. But my Steam list refers to it simply as Oddworld New and Tasty, so I guess we'll just go with that, even though it's technically a remake of Oddworld Abe's Oddysee and it's tempting to refer to it that way. It was developed by Just Add Water Developments Ltd. And published by Oddworld Inhabitants Inc. I actually only discovered that it was a remake because I was perusing Steam reviews. Don't worry, it wasn't to thieve other people's hard-earned opinions, I was just trying to figure out where it was that I went so wrong. Everywhere I look, this game is getting 9 to 10 stars and favorable reviews, meanwhile I'm sitting here bleeding from every orifice in frustration and starting to blister from the stagnant blood pool heating to a nice rolling boil around me. If it's such a fantastic game, why is it that I'm having such a ridiculously shitty time? Well, let's troubleshoot some solutions, shall we? First off, I was playing the game while I was grumpy, but I went and had myself a sleep on it and gave it a second shot. Nope. I still hate my life. Can't be that one. The control scheme on the keyboard is pretty fucked as shit with complications, so I guess maybe it'd be easier to try on the controller. It does, after all, offer full controller support according to Steam. Well, after using a single button to skip all of the game's opening credits, the controller just doesn't work. Nope, you can't even. Well, clearly, it must just be because I'm bad. Wow, did I just assume my own competent levels in 2017? This is truly Trump's America. The answer, as I've come to understand it, is that many of the positive reviews are celebrating it as a remake rather than a standalone title. Everything that they like about it is within the context of it having been remade from its predecessors and how they've improved upon it visually, auditorially, and often to a lesser extent mechanically, all of which are perfectly valid and mostly in line with my experience personally. The only difference is that I don't have the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia or any previous experience of the game at all to soften the blow of my skull on concrete, so we'll break this down into some pretty digestible strengths and weaknesses in the interest of fairness. The biggest strength that this game has is its visuals. I know that I just said that I don't have the fucking happy glasses of the past, but I guess I meant for this game specifically, because there's something about the animation and attitude that is reminiscent of games that I've played since childhood. There's a cartoonish playfulness that reminds me of Ratchet & Clank, Jak and Daxter, and some other game that I can't remember the name of. There was a kid with electric gloves and slimes. Anyway, it pulls it off well, combining the over-the-top silly humor with dark overtones in a way such that it paints the world in an entertaining fashion. The second strength that it has is the potential to be a strong title. The elements are all in place and waiting to be great. You've got an interactive environment that you can use to intelligently outwit your opponents. There's the added mechanic of not only making it through the level itself, but doing so while leading several other workers to safety at any given time. There's even a stealth mechanic that, if implemented correctly, could add that third genre that could make it something really memorable, but the problem is that it just doesn't. The weakest point of the game is its stealth mechanic, and maybe the lack of realism in that all you have to do to get people 100% on board with you and your goals is say hi and ask them to follow you. The game is saying it's literally easier to get followers than it is to walk 10 feet. Or maybe I'm just underestimating that. Hi. Please subscribe to me. No? Fuck. Yeah, this is hard. Back to the problem of stealth. It makes up a good portion of the gameplay, at least early on, which may be why I never got past early on, but it doesn't feel like it actually works in the way that it's meant to. Even when I get the tip to hide in the smog for stealth, it just doesn't work. I've tried holding the sneak button and standing still. I've tried holding the sneak button and crouching in place. I've tried it without holding the sneak button at all. I get seen every fucking time. Except the time that they walked past me, turned around, and promptly shot me in the face before I had the chance to register that I'd gone unnoticed the first time because it was so fucking surprising. What the fuck? There's also the part where they reveal to you that you can get your coworkers to follow you to safety, but not until you've already passed some of them, and going up there to retrieve them will promptly get you shot in the face again. Speaking of coworkers, they also can get shot, and do, frequently. Even if you're stealthed, your followers might not be, because they just don't fucking crouch. Thanks for pissing in my open mouth, Just Add Water, and FYI, I tried adding water, and all it did was make my computer sparky. It didn't make the game any more enjoyable. You can find Oddworld New and Tasty on the Steam store for the price of $14.99, though I definitely feel like that's pushing it for a game this marred by as many flaws as it is. I'd say that $5 is the most that I would pay for it, which is unfortunately the lowest price you can get it for if you're lucky enough to catch it out for its all-time low so far. The recommendation that I've been seeing from some people is to just go back and play the old Abe's Oddysee, which isn't as advanced graphically, but is sometimes seen as the stronger game mechanically. Gameplay for New and Tasty sinks below average at a 4 out of 10 for a few reasons. The first of which is the ridiculous number of controls. I don't need a button to laugh, I don't need 2 buttons to whistle, I don't need a button to fart, I don't need a button separate from my aim button to throw, just let me move to cancel it or release to throw. It's so convoluted to have to push all of these buttons to perform even the simplest of tasks. The second reason is the aforementioned issues with stealth. I literally can't make progress because fuck man, I just don't know how much more of my ass I can squeeze into this smoke vent. I don't know what the game wants from me. It sucks to give it such an unfavorable review because I have to admit the game's style has definitely won me over and made me want to enjoy the game. It looked deep into my eyes and said follow me, and I said okay, and that was the end of the first chapter of our romance novel together. The second chapter was me waking up in the gutter with a sore asshole and an IOU. Value earns a bit higher with a 5 out of 10. It's not the greatest thing to grace the bundle this month, and truth be told, I don't even think that it's a positive thing to associate with it. However, the excellent graphics, characterization, and voice acting give it a lot of personality that's worth experiencing, if only for a little bit. At high volume, no less. What is it with these games and keeping the cutscenes at max volume even when I've turned all of the other volumes down? The potential is there, and maybe I'm just wrong about the mechanics. A lot of people seem to enjoy it, and it may be that you're one of these people that see it as a challenge in its own right rather than as a hindrance. At 4.5 out of 10, Oddworld New and Tasty earns a composite score that is apparently controversial of a C-. It's got a great hook and an interesting line, but will leave you feeling stinkered.